GTC. Welcome, everybody. Please stand up, spread the joy, sing with us now. I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. I know the dreams of your heart want to fly. It's time to spread your wings and give it a try. The love you give, you know you're bound to receive. Your good can only grow the more you believe. Come on now, I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is alright. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is alright. I see you dripping with abundance and ease. I see you enjoying the life you please. Faithful at work and creative at play. I see you in gratitude for every day. And I say, I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is alright. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. Your biggest self can't be denied. You got no place to hide because I know the truth about you. I see the power about you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is alright. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is alright. I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is alright. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine brightly. Everything is alright. I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is alright. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is alright. Good morning, everybody. My name is, I had to think about it for a second because I'm a newly minted doctor. I am Reverend Dr. Tiffany Cartalion-Milne. Thank you. It's kind of weird when you stumble on your own name, but you know, I'm still embracing this new gift of doctor. Welcome to the Global Truth Center. Thank you for joining us today. Dr. James is in Croatia with a bunch of our congregation on the Croatia trip, but I do know that he is watching online. So hi, Dr. James. Hi, everybody in Croatia. It feels so good. I just want to just savor this moment for a second. So I've been on vacation for 2 weeks. The last time I took a 2-week vacation was when I went to Barbados for my honeymoon in 2007. And so the theme of my life over the last couple weeks has just been to embrace the moment, to just really live in the now. And I've been kind of practicing this mindfully. And so when Margaret was and Carol and Emily were singing, I was like so into the song, and then it ended, and I was like, oh, it's my turn. I'm supposed to be up there. So hopefully I can live in the moment while also remembering my cues and continuing to keep the service moving. If not, just give me a little nudge and I'll remember that it's my time to come up here. So I want to do things a little bit differently. This is the first Sunday of the month, and typically on the first Sunday of the month, we light the candles of faith, where we celebrate a lot of the major world religions around the world.
And Ernest Holmes said that the very first line of the book, The Science of Mind, he said that there will come a day when science and religion will walk hand in hand. And I believe that we're there as we study the quantum. And the more that I learn from the science aspect of what we teach here, the more I realize that everybody is saying the same thing, that there's these golden threads of truth through each one. And then religion is just the box it comes in. That our vision statement to love only and forgive everything and remember who you are can be found in every single religion. It can be found even in the quantum. It can be found in all of it. And so what I want to honor today, as I light just one single candle, is each individual path, because that's what religion really serves, is that path that each of us takes, or the quantum, or being agnostic, or even atheism, brings you to that place of remembering who you are and those golden threads of truth. And so that journey, that's the critical journey, whether you come by it through Christianity or Judaism or Buddhism or atheism or being an agnostic or whatever box you get your soul fulfillment and your understanding of love only, forgive everything and remember who you are. I'd like to celebrate that individual journey and those golden threads of truth as I light this single candle. And I'd like us all to just take a deep breath in that space of knowing, in that quiet understanding that right where I am, God is. In the knowing that I am only love, that we are only love. I just breathe into the truth, the magnificence that I am. I breathe into the magnificence of this universe, to all roads that lead me to that place of quiet understanding. And I invite Margaret Owens to come up and allow us to go even deeper into that space.
I want to go deeper, deeper into love. I want to go deeper, deeper into love. The heart that you gave me guides me toward the divine as I go deeper, deeper into love.
Deeper into love. Deeper into the very energy, the very essence of all life. The truth, the very core, the very essence of each individual path, of all that life is, of the entire universe, is this love. And I recognize this celebration on this Sunday as a celebration of that love, of the truth of who each and every one of us is.
I want to go deeper, deeper into truth. I want to go deeper, deeper into truth. The heart that you gave me guides me toward the divine as I go deeper, deeper into truth.
When I strip away all the distractions, when I let go of all that wants to push me and pull me out of that place, I allow myself to go deeper. I allow that deeper connection to the truth of who I am. I allow that deeper connection of the truth of who you are, the truth of our purpose, of the magnificent tapestry of life, and the recognition that each and every one of us is a magnificent, glorious thread in that life's tapestry. I go deeper into that truth of knowing that I am vital energy, that I am the perfection, not because of what I do, but because of who I am.
I want to go deeper, deeper into love. I want to go deeper, deeper into love. The heart that you gave me guides me toward the divine as I go deeper, deeper into love. I want to go deeper, deeper into love. Let me go deeper, deeper into love.
And so it is. I forget who said it because I was so in the moment. But somebody very important said, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that would be enough. And I found myself being so moved as you sang that song. It really just, it just busts me wide open and into that, and allows the vulnerability and the truth of who I am to come through so clearly. Even during rehearsal, I was like, will you sing that song again, but for me? She's like, I'm rehearsing here, like trying to, get her. And I'm like, no, I just need you to sing that song, but like, just sing it just to me. I just need it for me. So, thank you. And thank you for indulging me and doing that for me. Is there anybody here for the first time? Oh, hi. I won't make you stand. You're welcome. But we do have a gift for you. Dr. James's book, Mental Muscle. If you, there's a, if you stop by the practitioner booth just outside in the breezeway and leave your email address, Dr. James will write to you and answer any questions you may have, and you can get his book, which is amazing, which aligns with his course, Mental Muscle, which is actually starting in a couple weeks. We'll talk more about that later. So welcome, and thank you for joining us today. All right. I am very, very excited to invite up Margaret's other half, maybe better half. No way. They are two amazing whole people who equally share in the greatness that is the Owens-Bork or Bork-Owens family. So come on up, Eric. Let's do this. Woo! So we're going to kick off the theme of the month. You ready to do that?
Yes.
But we have a special treat for you. So I lovingly joked that Dr. James says that he's on vacation in Croatia, but he is probably directing the captain on how to steer the boat, even though he's never been to Croatia, directing the activities, directing how everybody should have fun. He's just the director, and even in his letting go, he just can't, the director just comes out in him. So in true Dr. James fashion, because it's the first of the month and we're kicking off a new theme, James is like, I can't have Tiffany kick off the new theme. What if she doesn't do it right? So he sent a video to direct kicking off the theme. I don't think that's actually why I think he's missing us, but I like to think that the director in him could not possibly let me kick off the theme. So take it away, Thor. Here's a message from Dr. James.
Good morning, everyone. Dr. James coming to you live from Croatia. We are on our last swim day, so shortly after this, I'll be taking all of this off and jumping in the water. But first, I wanted to let you all know what our theme is this amazing month of September. The theme is enthusiasm, as my mentor, Dr. Walker, used to say, enthusiasm. And what that means is enthusiasm is a feeling. It is an embracing of life from a sense of self that allows you to jump in, there's a good one, to jump in and feel what it feels like to really take your life in a direction that allows you to expand and express and just have joy in your life. So I have a question for you this month. The question I want you to ask yourself in every instance is, do I have enthusiasm for what I am about to do? And if you do, have at it. And if you don't, either find it or find something that you do have enthusiasm about. This is like, September's always back to school month for me. So September is an opportunity to take a new risk in your life, to take a new chance, to take a new adventure. And the enthusiasm comes from taking that next step. So I don't know what that next step is for all of us, for you individually, for me individually, but I do know this. Whatever that step is, I will have enthusiasm for it. Because if I don't, I'm not gonna do it. So there you go. There's your charge for the month. Find the enthusiasm you have for life and then spend it. Just spend it. Have a great Sunday, everybody. You're in great hands with whoever is standing in front of you today. I send my love, and I will see you all in a couple of weeks. Namaste.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Did he say he was going skinny dipping? He was like, I'm going to take it all off and jump in the water. He did. I don't think that's what he meant, but that's what I'm envisioning now. So our theme of the month, thanks a la Dr. James, is enthusiasm. And you know, it's funny, and I hope you take this as the compliment that it is, but it's Margaret, when I was talking to Margaret about the theme of the month, actually I'm very glad that I did talk to Margaret because I thought the theme was something completely different, which I'll go into in my talk, and she was like, that's not the theme, it's enthusiasm. Margaret oozes enthusiasm. And when she sings, it's like enthusiasm starts at her toes and it just comes out. And you always come across as just as a little more reserved. Not that you're not enthusiastic, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this, but just a little bit more reserved. And then I thought, I bet when Eric's by himself, he seems like he's like over the top, just enthusiastic. It's like bursting out of his toes. But when he's standing next to Margaret, he just looks a little bit reserved. He may not actually be reserved at all. So, thoughts?
Well, actually, you're right, Tiffany. I am like this incredibly alive, enthusiastic person. I'm doing so many great things right now. I'm writing scripts. I'm raising money to make a movie. I've got this online course I'm marketing to the world. I'm kind of like this creative powerhouse, is what I would call it. And you know, the cool thing is, the reaction I tend to get from the world when I share some of my stuff, do you know what that reaction tends to be? But does that dampen my enthusiasm?
I hope not.
Yes.
It does.
Yes, it does. 100%. Well, and that's really what I wanted to say today. Should we do the affirmation?
No, I love that. You know, well, it's interesting because it kind of leads back to what Dr. James was saying. Is like if it organically is coming up through you, and that's kind of what my theme has been over the last couple of weeks as I've been on vacation. Is, does it please me? Does it fill my soul? And why do I look for validation from other people to decide whether I should be enthusiastic about my projects? To decide what my next step should be? Like, why would anybody else's opinion carry more weight than my own?
Well, that's a good question. And first of all, when I say the reaction is, that's obviously a perceptual thing, and it's based on certain expectations or certain fantasies of outcomes.
Belief systems that may exist within.
So I may tend to expect or want something greater than is really reasonable. I remember one time, if I could name drop for a second, I used to work a lot with Tom Hanks for many years. And one time we were working on this mini-series for HBO that he was executive producing and I was writing scripts for.
That I think you won some awards for, maybe?
Eventually, yes. But this was in the early days. And I was feeling a little mopey about HBO having not really given much positive reaction to a draft of a script I turned in. And what Tom Hanks had to say about that was, what do you expect them to do? Throw a parade for you down Santa Monica Boulevard? And I said, yes, thank you, Tom.
That's exactly what I expect.
You get me. That is the appropriate response. Actually, I was like, because he
Like,
didn't say it with a
what?
smile on his face. But
what happened? You kept going. You continued to write regardless, in spite of Tom Hanks thinking you should have a parade in Santa Monica.
I've been writing for decades now, but I really do find that there's this attachment to outcome because I am not doing this for my health. You know what I mean? I'm doing the things I'm doing because I do want to create something that does involve other people interacting, responding, supporting, liking, whatever in some way. But so it's hard to just completely detach from that. Which means it's hard to have that enthusiasm all the time, because I do think the enthusiasm requires lifting up out of that whole process a little bit. I looked up enthusiasm and it said the Greek word theos, meaning God. Enthusiasm, and I hope this isn't in your talk.
It's not.
It's cannibalizing.
But I got goosebumps when you said that.
Inspired by God, enthusiasm, right? And for me, it does require a different state of consciousness than what I normally would walk around with. And I have a little example of something that I learned recently, a spiritual practice that I do, that I've started doing that's been helpful.
Did it come from Abraham Hicks? Because
it did not.
I love to bring up Abraham as much as possible.
Well, it connects to what they teach in some way, but it didn't directly come from them. So I was watching this miniseries, The Dropout, which I really love, which I highly recommend, on Hulu. And so good. And I was reading an interview with the main writer behind it, and she said, you know, I really had to find myself within these characters who seemed on the surface very different from her. It's about Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos and the fraud thing that they did. And Amanda Seyfried plays her. And this writer was saying, you know, once I found the hook to how these characters were really me, it just like that really helped. And so I started thinking, oh, I should do that. This thing I'm writing right now, I don't think I have that. Like, I don't think the characters are me. I don't know where that is. So I started thinking about it and working on it. How do I find how I'm in these characters and they're in me? And I just had nothing. And I found myself just kind of spiraling as I decided, today, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find this for this project, right? And I started spiraling, and the spiraling is negative beliefs coming in, negative self-talk, negative voices, you might say, that start to go, oh, what do you think you're doing? This isn't really going to work out. You're not good at whatever. And I think we all probably have some versions of those. And the opposite of enthusiasm, right? So the big question
enthusiasm killers.
Yeah, so what do you do when those beliefs come up? Do you fight the beliefs? That seems to give them power, in my experience, when you're fighting within your own mind. I don't want to be thinking that shut up voice, right?
What you resist persists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you pretend they're not there? That doesn't seem to work.
Spiritual
because
bypass.
They're subconsciously running, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you try to create some new belief that is better, and hopefully you build that enough that this other one doesn't have as much power? I think there's something to that. We sort of teach practices around that here. But what I noticed was this negative self-talk, I could get to a higher perspective and love it and accept it because it's part of my mind. I arrived at it innocently. For some reason, these beliefs, this ego, superego, whatever you want to call it, it wants my best too, but on a human level, from what it can see, it's concerned that maybe I'm terrible or that maybe this isn't going to work, and it wants to like get my attention. So I found myself just doing this like 5-minute practice of I accept you completely. Love only, we talk about love only. Loving others, yes, very nice. Loving what happened even when we didn't really like what happened, certainly good to try to do. Love yourself. Yes, that sounds good, but can you love the negative voice within yourself? So going, I love you, I accept you, I allow you to be exactly as you are. Voice that feels that way. And that brings me up to this higher level of consciousness that is like maybe what you call the true self, the spiritual self, which is unconditional love. And when I got there, I just felt this release. And the next thing you knew, bam, I had this idea. This is how this character's like me. Oh my God, it's been there all the time. I just didn't see it. And this other character too, that's totally me. And then suddenly I'm writing it from that perspective, not thinking about outcomes, just going. And that is enthusiasm.
I love that. I love that. It's interesting. I was reading, well, I'm going to talk about it in my talk because you're segueing so perfectly for me. But reading Anita Moorjani's book, Dying to Be Me, and she talks about that when she recognized and realized that she was magnificent just because she was, and that living our authentic life, which includes, you know, if you're me, a little bit of neuroses, sounds like we might have that in common. We could discuss it over lunch sometime. To embrace all of it, and rather than looking at ourselves as being flawed, to look at ourselves as integral to the very tapestry of the universe, and that, you know, my brand that I walk out into the world with is needed in this world, and the characters that come through as a result of all of those elements. And we can certainly shine a light on the ones and start to gravitate. That's where classes and the work comes in, to start creating beliefs that based on things that we would prefer to be creating from. But there's no benefit to just pretending like that doesn't exist. And I bet some amazing characters would come out of that place too, because you're representing everyone in the tapestry when you're writing and creating characters. So you're amazing.
Thank you.
I can't wait to read or watch. And also I feel the need, like, so when you started and you were early days of writing and Tom Hanks they were trying to dull your shiny, and Tom Hanks said, what do you want, a parade and whatever. And when you found whatever it was to keep writing, you ultimately got your parade, right? What did you win? And I also asked, well, first,
well,
what
I
did
worked
you
on a
get?
couple different miniseries with him, which both ended up winning all the Emmys for Best Miniseries that year. So I got to share in that, and Golden Globes and other awards.
So you got your parade.
It wasn't a parade just for me, but it was still okay.
Where do you keep them? Like, do you keep them in? Because you don't want to be pretentious and like have it like first thing when you walk in.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's
got to
what
be
we do.
subtle about. You do? 'Cause I think I'd like keep it in the bathroom, like very subtly, like as you're washing your hands with soap. It's like, oh look, there's a couple of Emmys on the sink. Like,
Well, one of them's in the background of my Zoom shot now, which I think is
Yeah.
cheesy, but I still do it anyway.
That's right. He's throwing his own parade with his Emmy in the background shot. I love it. Thank you for kicking enthusiasm off so beautifully. Should we do the affirmation?
Yes.
All right. Can you do it with that gusto of... I'm going to channel my inner Margaret as I do the affirmation. We should all... Everybody stand up. Let's channel our inner Eric as we do the affirmation. Ready?
Yes.
No pressure.
So repeat after me, please. Today I allow the winds of enthusiasm to fill my soul. Today
I allow the winds of enthusiasm to fill my soul.
One more time.
With gusto.
Today
I allow the winds of enthusiasm to fill my soul.
And so it is.
Eric Bork, everyone. Thank you. I have to tell you, when we did the affirmation the first time, I looked over at Margaret, and she was like, she was doing like interpretive dance with it. And I was like, yes, that's that Margaret enthusiasm. And so then I was like, I'm going to try it. And then I just looked like I was having muscle spasms on the stage. So everybody needs their own unique brand of enthusiasm and the way that it expresses through us organically, I guess. We are so blessed to have Margaret Owens and her enthusiasm here today. And I will say that when I talked to Margaret about the space that I was in when we were coming up with which one of her songs would fit best for the theme of enthusiasm and what I wanted to talk about today, I've been on vacation for 2 weeks, and I'm in this very sort of, Zen place of living in the moment and allowing and embracing vulnerability and all those things. And I think I generally come off as like this powerhouse of energy and excitement. And so we talked about the enthusiasm of the quiet soul and allowing for that ease and that easiness, and that we can enthusiastically embrace that too. And so Margaret, of course, just reaches into her backpack and finds the perfect song for any theme that you happen to have. So here's Margaret singing her song, Easy Does It.
thing I checked my mic. We were also talking about, like, you know, sometimes you're not like, yeah, 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 yeah. You know, and enthusiasm can also be like, yes. And so that's what we're embracing. Easy does it, darling. Take it nice and slow. Sink into the river of creation and just enjoy the flow. It's amazing what comes to you when you will consciously let go. So remember, easy does it, darling. Merrily along the way. It's supposed to be fun now, don't forget it. Go out and claim the bliss that blooms each day. And if you lost it in the shadows, then you know you gotta find a brighter thought to light the way. I say, easy does it. Easy does it. Nice and gentle, darling. Nothing is broken, and you cannot get it wrong. Picture yourself perfect for a moment and hear your heart's sweet song. Bless the challenges before you brought to explore, you knowing they will not last for very long. Here where you belong. Easy does it. Easy does it. There's nothing to fixin'. You will never get it all done. So take a breather. The answers you seek are in the river. So come on in, the water's fine. The sense of well-being is divine. So easy does it. Easy does it. La da da da, la da da, la da da da.
Thank you, Margaret. I'm telling you, every song is like food for my soul. You know, it's funny, I just have to, before I dive into the meat, something that Eric said when you were talking about bringing yourself to the characters, I had this revelation as I was listening to Margaret's song. When in my early days before I started doing stand-up, I thought that I wanted to be an actress, and so I took acting classes and I was acting, and I was terrible. I mean, I was really, really bad. And I recognized that, and what I thought at the time, or when I started to find my voice and I started to, realize I was terrible, was that I was terrible at taking other people's words and making them my own. That it was a lot easier for me to do stand-up because I had written it and I was performing it. I had a very hard time performing something somebody else had written. And I realized it's because when I was all those years acting, I didn't recognize that maybe the character needed me, that it wasn't about me having to seek out that character, that I was trying to be something I wasn't, rather than trying to find who I was in that character and bring my meanness to what it was. I'm not going back to acting. I still think that I probably would not be great at it, and stand-up is more along the lines of what I should do, but it was like recognizing all those ways that insecurity just sort of held me back from diving into the enthusiasm and embracing what was in front of me or the opportunities that presented themselves. So thank you for that awareness, and thank you for the song that allowed it to come through. All right, so I want to get into the lyrics because they're so eloquent and so spoke to my heart. But in true me fashion, I feel the need to begin with transparency because I'm nothing if not honest. So Dr. James, originally, the theme of this month was supposed to be commitment. And that's what I had been operating under, the assumption that the theme was going to be. But when James told me what the theme was, I went, commitment? Like, everybody, Eric and Liza got empowerment, and I get commitment. And James was like, well, you may want to practice not saying it with that face on when you're in front of my congregation. And I realized, because for me, I have so much to do all the time, that I was confusing commitment with obligation. How many of us here have a to-do list that's a mile long and that are constantly overcommitted and are constantly doing things that may not necessarily be feeding our soul? And I know, and we're going to talk about, and James talked about the fact that enthusiasm is what I bring to the energy that I bring to every task that I do. And I do believe that you can clean toilets enthusiastically, or get up when your alarm goes off in the morning without hitting snooze 20 times and feeling like, oh, I just want to stay asleep a little longer, that you can bounce out of bed buoyantly. But I not only live by my to-do list, but I am also on a forever seeking quest to find the perfect organizational tool that will keep all of my to-dos together. I use an app, I color code my to-dos, and I have them organized by who I'm obligated to with those to-dos, and I work, and I'm a minister, and I'm a mom, and I'm a wife, and I can and so when you say commitment to me, I go, not one more, can't do one more, please don't, right? Because I was coming at it from obligation. So I've spent 2 weeks on vacation, as I was talking about. As a matter of fact, I was going to wear heels today because it felt like I'm very short. And I was like, I'm still on vacation. Like, we're going with the flats today. We're going sandals. I'm really embracing this vacation thing. I may not go back to work. I will go back to work, in case anybody at work is watching. I will be there Tuesday, I promise. But we went on this vacation. So I was operating under the assumption that the theme was commitment, and I was practicing not having a snarl on my face when I said commitment. And apparently, Dr. James, I assume it's because he adores me and wanted me to have a theme that I could embrace, or that he, decided on his own to change it. But for whatever reason, or he thought, I don't think Tiffany can say commitment without furling her face. But Dr. James changed the theme to enthusiasm, and probably was so excited and enthusiastic about changing the theme, he forgot to tell me. So I was talking to Margaret just a couple of days ago about what I was, what I wanted to talk about and what was coming through. And she was like, that's great, but commitment's not the theme. And I was like, what? And I was even, because I'm rebellious, the title of my talk was going to be The Uncommitment. And it was going to be all the ways that commitment sucks. And I was really excited about it. Like, leave me alone on the stage with a topic I don't like. Let's do this. And then we started talking about, she was like, the theme is actually enthusiasm. And I was like, ooh, I like that one. But I realized that, I live this life of obligation so much that the first week of my vacation, I actually noticed the moment that my jaw stopped clenching. I could feel the moment that my body relaxed. And I would like to tell you that it was day one of the vacation, and it wasn't. I am so caught up in the moment so often that I started to recognize all those moments where I'm just caught up in what's next, and I'm running from this place, and half the time I'm rushing my children through their lives because you gotta get your stuff and we gotta go. And yes, that flower is amazing, Lexi. Get your stuff and let's go. Because there's just so much to do. In the song, Margaret says, well, I'm going to find it. She talks about you're never going to get it all done anyway. There's nothing to fix and you'll never get it all done. Oh, there it is. It's highlighted right in front of me. There's nothing to fix and you'll never get it all done. So take a breather. Take a breather. That deep breath, that exhale. We spent the week, this last week in San Diego on a hotel that opened to the water, and it was magnificent and it was beautiful. And when we got there, I realized one of the themes that's sort of come up is that my enthusiasm was really, my joy of life was starting to really drain from as a result of living this life of obligation or feeling obligated. And I was having a hard time just unwinding and breathing and relaxing and allowing and enjoying the people around me and eking the joy out of life, which is what I know we're supposed to be doing. I've been studying this teaching for a long time, and you're probably like, maybe we should get someone qualified to give this talk. You're like, oh, you don't have any joy? Sit down. Very inspiring, Tiffany. But it had drained, and my joy felt depleted, and what my soul was crying out for was this 2 weeks of vacation, that week in San Diego on the beach. And so luckily, I took the first week to just decompress, and then we went to San Diego, and I was swimming in the water. I was getting into the water with the kids, because the kids are like, come in the water, Mom. And if you've listened to any of my talks before, you will know that I am terribly afraid of fish, which I acknowledge is an odd fear, but something about fish and not knowing what's under there and that whole situation, it just freaks me out. So the kids wanted me to go in the water, but we were in the bay, and it was pretty clear, and I could see, and so I'm like, okay, I can do this, and I went into my ankles, and I was like, I'm good, I'm doing this, and Lexi's like, look, that's find shells, and Dylan was on a paddleboard, and I'm like, check me out, I'm in the ocean up to my ankles, and I'm taking it in, and it's gorgeous, and the weather was perfect, and I was like, I think I can go up to my calves. And I went up to my calves, and I was like, oh, check me out. And I felt the sand beneath my toes, and it was glorious, and I felt myself relax. And then I saw fish. There were fish. and there were a lot of fish. And I'm like, and I start to feel myself tense back up, and I start to feel myself go, oh my God, there's a lot of fish, and I gotta get the hell out of the water. And Lexi's like, no, but we gotta play. And Dylan's coming by in his paddleboard, and Dylan comes over, and he's like, I saw skates. I was like, did a hockey truck, like a hockey boat capsize? Like, what do you mean you saw skates? He goes, no. We learned about it on our trip to Catalina. They're like, they're kind of like, what's the thing that killed Steve Irwin? Stingrays. They're kind of like stingrays, and you can see them. They're just swimming in the water. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's fantastic. And I backed out of the water, and I had no interest in participating in the skating that was happening in the water. And I was reading, the other thing that I did on this vacation, I have not read a book that I wanted to read for joy in 5 years. I've been in back-to-back classes for 5 years and reading. And Dr. James doesn't like to assign one book, except Mental Muscle, only one book. He likes to assign 5 books, and you just read all 5 at the same time. And it's always something complicated and brilliant and amazing and ahas, but it's not joyful, right? So I started reading Anita Moorjani's book, Dying to Be Me, while I was on vacation. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the book. Awesome. Yeah, raise your hand if you've read the book or are familiar with Anita's story. So, okay, well, sorry for those of you that have heard it, but for the few that haven't, just a quick snapshot. Anita Moorjani was riddled with cancer and was dying and was at the end of her life and was slipped into a coma. And while she was in the hospital, had this amazing experience where, a near-death experience where she understood the meaning of life and what the purpose, and understood her own magnificence, and understood that our minds control what our outer experience is, and all the things that we teach here, really. And recognized that with this new understanding of who she was and this new way of approaching the world, that her body was just going to instantly heal, and that's exactly what happened. She went into remission and is alive and well and telling her story to this day. And I was laying on the beach, and I was reading her book, and I came, because I was lying on the beach and reading, and it was great. I was reading with enthusiasm and filling my soul. And I was also probably subconsciously avoiding the water because there were skates in there. And I came across this quote in her book. She said, although the view was familiar to me and the scenery was ordinary, somehow the world looked brand new. Everything seemed so fresh and sharp and beautiful, as though I were looking at it for the first time. The colors were brighter than I knew them to be. The view couldn't have been more ordinary, yet it was the best I'd seen in a long time, maybe ever. And I'm reading her story, and I recognized how much living fear holds me back from. How often I am standing at the shore because I'm afraid to get in the water. And in that moment, it's funny, my first instinct is I'm going to hang out on the shore. My second thought is, oh, you can treat for that. Reverend Doctor, you can do a treatment if you're having fear. Note to self, glad this is being recorded. So I'm there on the beach, and I did a treatment, and I treated for exactly that, to recognize my own magnificence, to be able to embrace life, to know that I can embrace life with all of this enthusiasm, and that fear was no longer anything that could hold me back. And I knew this truth, and I did not move from that cabana until I felt it in my soul. And so the title of my talk is, Come On In, the Water's Fine. So I did my treatment, and like any good practitioner or reverend, I looked around to see if my treatment had worked, and I went into the water to test it to see if my treatment had worked, because I thought that when I got back into the water, I was going to get into the water and no longer be afraid of fish. And I thought that if my treatment had worked, of course treatment works. That's what we teach. 5 years of classes, lots of books. Treatment works. That suddenly and instantly, fear was going to leave me, and I was going to look at life the way that Anita Moorjani looks at life today as a result of that experience. And why should we have to have a near-death experience to be able to bring us to that energy? Why can I not live in that energy right here, right now? And so I stepped into the water, and I started looking for the fish to see if I'd be afraid of the fish. But there were no fish. And then I was like, where'd the fish go? Why aren't there any fish? And I spent quite some time looking for the fish. Where are the fish? Why aren't the fish here? There were no fish. And then I will tell you, I spent the next 3 days, I did not see a single fish in the water. I cannot explain it other than to say, treatment works, this teaching works. But the most profound thing that happened was I kept looking for the fish, and there were no fish. And then this thought came to me, how often do we spend our lives looking for the fish? How often do I spend my life waiting for what could possibly come to harm me, and looking for those elements and not living my life to the fullest because I'm looking for the fish? And so at some point, I stopped looking for the fish. And when I stopped looking for the fish, I get emotional thinking about it. I embraced playing with my daughter in the water, and we started to see these most magnificent shells, because just beyond the fish were these amazing shells that I was able to reach into the water and pick up with my hands, because I am so powerful, I can make fish. Jesus made fish appear, I make fish disappear. I found I'd never seen before clamshells whole. They were whole and intact and still together. And most of the time when I'm at the beach and my daughter is like, let's go look for shells, I'm like, I want to be reading Anita's book. Like, I don't, but I dove in with enthusiasm, the enthusiasm of an 8-year-old girl, finding shells and playing with my daughter and splashing in the water, because I stopped looking for the fish. And that's the key to enthusiasm, to live your life fearlessly. Anita Moorjani, in her near-death experience, what she recognized was that we had to stop, that there was nothing to be afraid of, that each individual is a part of this magnificent tapestry, and that all we had to do is be our most authentic selves, to show up as the unique expression that each of us is, and the recognition. Listen, 5 years of classes, more than 5 years of classes, studying the quantum. The quantum teaches what we teach in this very center, is that our minds control our experience, that we are manifesting our experience based on our beliefs, right? That's what we teach. And that the universe collapses based on the energy to the experience that we're having. And so we can actually manifest and create our lives and create the experience. If this is a choose your own adventure, why would we not embrace life with that level of enthusiasm, with the God that we are? It's time for us to get off the shore. It's time for us to jump in and dive in with both feet. Anita Moorjani also said, as I experienced my biggest revelation, it felt like a bolt of lightning. I understood that merely by being the love I truly am, I would heal both myself and others. I'd never understood this before, yet it seemed so obvious. If we're all one, all facets of the same whole, which is unconditional love, then of course we are love. I knew that was really the only purpose of life, to be ourselves, live our truth, and the love that we are. We are here to express the individuals that we are. We are here to enthusiastically jump into each opportunity because it is all opportunity. Swimming in the ocean is opportunity. Showing up for work each day is opportunity. Putting together a talk and standing on this stage, we can sometimes be scary, is opportunity. It's just a matter of whether I'm looking for the fish or I'm looking for the shells. You can make the decision right now. It's a decision. It's a treatment. It's a manifestation, which is what we teach here. And so if there is any area of any of our lives that we are uncertain about, it's a decision. What are you going to do? Are you going to feed into the it's a bad economy and the inflation and I don't have enough money and the lack and the limitation? Or are you going to trust, put your money where your mouth is, trust that this teaching works, trust the experience, and know that the abundance is yours to have? There is nothing stopping you from living your greatest life except your own limitations and your own belief system. And if you don't believe me, you can try it right here and right now, today, this Sunday. If you think that $20 is the only thing that we can put in a basket because it's all we can afford, I encourage you to put in $30. And not because the center needs the money, although as a board of trustees, I do feel the need to say that we could use the money. But it's not about that. It's about, am I living a life of faith? Am I living a life that believes this teaching? Or am I living a life that requires me to stand at the edge of the ocean looking for the fish? And if that is challenging in any way, and it's taken me time to get there, and I'm not perfect, and I don't pretend to be, but if it's challenging for you, that's why I stay in classes. You want to know why I take class after class after class? Because I cannot afford the luxury of forgetting for even a moment that treatment works, that I am creating this life, that I am abundant, that the law of reciprocity works 100% of the time, that I am safe and taken care of always. Life unfolds perfectly, always, no matter what. I appreciate each and every one of you so much, and I appreciate this journey that we're all on together. And I encourage you, take a class. If you're struggling with any of this, take a class. I'll offer a free counseling session to anybody who wants a counseling session to start to uncover these beliefs. And I know that there are other ministers in the room that would gladly do the same. Let's stop living small. I want it all. I don't want just a little bit of it. I don't want to stand on the shore. I want to swim. I want to be, maybe not above the neck, that seems a little crazy, but like, I want to be all in. And I don't want to be Reverend Doctor sitting on the shore afraid of fish. So I once again recommit myself to this center. I recommit myself to the classes. I wasn't going to take mental muscle because I'm helping teach ministerial and I'm teaching my class. I will be taking mental muscle because excavating those beliefs is important. I will be upping my tithe today because I understand that I cannot afford the luxury, nor do I even need to entertain the idea that I can be impacted by an economic game that we created. It's monopoly, folks. I'm not subject or bound to any of it. I will no longer protect and guard my heart as if I could anyway. I will love with complete abandon. And if this resonates with you, if you are committed to live a life fearlessly, then I encourage you to join me and come on in, because the water's fine. Namaste. Thank you. Oh, how convenient. It's time for giving. Didn't plan that. Didn't even know I was going to talk about that. I meant what I said. And again, it's not about the center. It's not about money. It's not about money. It's never about the thing and the relative we think that it's about. The law of reciprocity: as I give, I receive. It's an open flow. It's a channel. It's a flow. It's circular. So I invite you to consciously take out your tithe. And if you're called to join in the great experiment, I guess is what I'm going to call it, I invite you to give slightly more than you thought you were going to give and see what happens. Because the law works always, always. So join me, singers up on stage, forgot to say that, and as we say our affirmation together. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of my spiritual center, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. Take it away.
So blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. Sing along with us if you'd like to. Come on, Emily. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so
Good morning. It's Sunday, September 4th, and here are your Global Truth Center announcements. Happy birthday this week to Peggy Lorback, Linda Massad, Ken Larson, Pam Ninneman, Lisa Hogan, Raymond Fix, Lexington Milne, Marty Cartelian, and Irene Seda. please save the following dates on your calendar. The Global Truth Center Women's Group will be holding their monthly meeting next Sunday, September 11th at 12 noon. The guest speaker is Sylvia Villarreal, Dr. Liza's mom. You can join the meeting in person or on Zoom. Our next soul immersion will be held on Friday, September 16th at 7 p.m. Please mark your calendars and join us. On Saturday, September 17th, join us for our Wine and Wisdom event, sponsored by the GTC Women's Group. This event is from 6:30 to 7:30 and is just $25. On Sunday, September 18th, a healing circle will take place in the GTC Sanctuary beginning at 12 noon. This is a complimentary group session provided by Dr. James and our practitioners for your personal healing needs. Join us on Tuesday, September 20th at 7 p.m. for Practical Spirituality, a new workshop presented by Dr. Liza Marquez and Thor Chalgren. In the first workshop, we'll be exploring the book The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. You can sign up for the workshop now on our website. We're having our holiday boutique on Sunday, October 2nd. If you are a vendor or know someone who is, this is a great opportunity to sell your product in our holiday boutique. Please contact Diane Brabant or Suzanne Benoit for more details. On Sunday, October 16th, make plans to stop by our booth at the Thousand Oaks Community Street Fair. Finally, our fall classes begin the week of September 12th, so the time to sign up is now because that's in just 1 week. On Mondays, Reverend Dale Olansky will be teaching The Secret of Success. On Wednesdays, Dr. Tiffany Milne will teach The Power of Mind. And Dr. James will be teaching the 15th anniversary celebration edition of Mental Muscle based on a brand new edition of the book. You can sign up for any and all of our classes on our website at globaltruthcenter.org/classes. You can always find out what's going on by visiting our calendar on the website. To find it easily, just use your cell phone on the QR codes you see throughout the sanctuary. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Thank you, Thor. I have a few live announcements. First, happy birthday, baby girl. My daughter Lexi's birthday is September 9th, and happy birthday, Mom. My mom's birthday is on Saturday the 10th, so happy birthday, and happy birthday. I want to talk really quickly about the classes coming up in the fall. If you don't know Reverend Dale, she is actually presiding right now at this moment in the Palm Desert Center. I had the blessing of being in ministerial with her. She is amazing. She really is deeply grounded in this teaching. I mean, Reverend Dale would never even know that fish existed, much less be looking for them. She is just complete embodiment of this teaching, and you cannot go wrong with that class. I had a couple people asking me questions about the class that I'm teaching, mainly how much homework is there going to be. So I am a meat and potatoes kind of person naturally. I'm not one to fluff. I think people know that about me, and I teach classes the same way. The intention in the class is to be very experiential. My goal is to harness and tap into that energy where we create our lives from, and to really embody that and experience that. And while that will occasionally be documenting what that looks like for you in, a short, very short paper, most of the assignments in the work will be internal work and living this teaching for 8 weeks. So if you're interested, that's that. I also have a copy of Dr. James's fancy new Mental Muscle book. Check that out. So if you are interested in mental muscle, so just to give you a little idea of the transformation from it's 16 weeks of boot camp where you basically just go through almost every facet of who we are and make the commitment. He dupes you. I'm just going to give you a little spoiler alert. It's like week by week. So 1 week is like no complaining. And you're like, oh, that's going to be hard, but I could probably not complain for a week. And so you spend your week not complaining. And then he's like, surprise, you can't complain for the rest of the 16 weeks. Don't let that scare you because it is life-changing, but don't let him try to trick you into thinking you're only going to have to do it for a week. We're on to you, Dr. James. But I will tell you that my word, you pick a word to represent the 16 weeks and what you want out of mental muscle. And my word in the last mental muscle, sorry, I get choked up when I think about it, my word was unshackled, because I really recognized that I was the one tethering myself and living a less than enthusiastic life. And when I look at the life and who I've become since that last mental muscle, I would be crazy not to take it again. So take all the classes. I mean, that's what I do, but I mean, my starting point was probably a lot further below than a lot of you are starting from. Anyway, that's not true. I'm amazing and magnificent and brilliant. But check out the classes. They're awesome. I want to thank Ann Monahan and the hospitality team for providing a Sunday breakfast. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I think they're back downstairs already prepping breakfast again. Join us again downstairs after service. They're opening it back up. I want to say a special happy anniversary to David Rogers and his wife Julie, 34 years. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I think that's it. Did I get them all? Magnificent and amazing. Our Consciousness on Demand. If you think that I'm brilliant, my mother is the one that gave me life, and she's our COD for the day. So catch a treatment from Marty, Reverend Dr. Marty Mom. And thank you so much for an amazing Sunday. I'd like to invite Eric up to do a closing treatment and the singers up to sing us out. I love you all. Thank you. You got this.
A great Reverend Doctor once said, "It's never about the thing and the relative that you think it's about." That was about 10 minutes ago. So what is it really about then? It's about an awareness of something beyond the relative, an awareness of something spiritual in which I live and move and have my being, where my true identity is, my true source, my true power, my true intelligence, my true beingness. I am that, an infinite, eternal, spiritual being, greater than anything in the relative. And I know that that's true for each person hearing the sound of my voice, and that this service has helped each one in their own unique way to recognize and remember that and be able to access that as they move out into their lives from this service, so that they are able to live with the enthusiasm of letting go of that focus on the relative and what they think about it and what they're trying to do all the time, and allow that enthusiasm of the God self, the Theos, to come through and animate them and be where they're coming from in whatever they're doing, loving only because that is what they are, naturally, effortlessly. So knowing that this is the truth, I anchor this with gratitude. Release it, know that it is so, and let it be. And together we say, and so it is.
All right. Some enthusiasm going into our day, into our week. Stand up, clap along. Please feel free to release. Come on now. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.